Hey guys, this is Nirupam from the Underwater Photography Guide and Bluewater Photo. Now I'm here today in the field in Sunrock, Washington, diving with the Olympus, but not Olympus, OM System TG7 camera with a bunch of cool Inon accessories, including the Inon S220. This is our new strobe, and we've got some cool mounts and trays and tripods. So this is a review of the TG7. Now, as I said, it's no longer Olympus, it's actually OM System because the company has changed hands, and now they're owned by OM System, which has just come out with a new model. So I'm going to make this review kind of short because the camera is basically the same as the TG6. I can tell you right up front that there are three main updates. The first is the port for data transfer and charging is now USB-C. The camera can do vertical video for Instagram, and there is a new construction mode. Other than that, the camera is exactly the same. So if you're watching this and you have a TG6, go ahead and go to the next video. You don't really need to watch this. And you definitely don't need to upgrade. Now, if you have a TG5, you also don't need to upgrade because the camera is very similar to the TG5 as well. There are a few changes with where you can do super macro autofocus. So if you are really into into macro shooting, you might want to consider upgrading, but even then I would say stick with your TG5. But if you're a very old TG shooter or you're just getting into underwater photography, you heard this camera is great for macro, stay tuned because this is my full review of the camera, and I'll go over exactly what it can do. I do think the camera is excellent for macro shooters, but it's also getting a little bit pricey. It now retails for $550, which is now more expensive than interchangeable lens cameras like the Canon R100, which is $479. So I also, in some ways, I don't really see a future with compact camera shooters going this route unless you really care about how compact the system is, because this is one of the most compact systems that you can get. So starting with underwater housings. When it comes to the TG7, it's exactly the same as the TG6, which means you can use the TG7 in basically any TG6 underwater housing, which is also basically the same as the TG5 underwater housings. So that's really excellent if you already have a TG6, maybe you broke the camera and you need to get a TG7, well there you go. It'll work in your housing and that's awesome. So I actually have an old, I think this is a TG6 housing. I don't know if it's the actual new TG7 housing. But all of the TG6 housings we offer at Bluewater Photo also work with the TG7, and we've updated those, and you can see the change in the name, but not the change in the product. So it's been 3 or 4 years since I've shot the TG6 because it did come out that long ago, but I've gotten a chance to shoot with the TG7 and really upgrade my footage, my usage with it, and just kind of so I can give you guys some more information and how I felt about the camera. Be sure to read my review. I'll drop it in the link as a link below, so you can read the review of the TG7 and the TG6. And it's basically the same. I was getting the same kind of footage and photos, and I think it does a great job. So let's start with image quality. Now, the sensor on the TG7 is not quite a 1-inch sensor. I believe it's about like a 1/2 inch sensor. But even then, it does have excellent image quality. It is going to do a better job than your smartphone in many situations, especially for macro shooting. And macro shooting is really what it's all about. So with the TG7, you've got a special mode on there called microscope mode. But with the new updates to autofocus from the TG5, you actually can do microscope mode in basically any of the modes that it offers. Now, the camera itself is not a full manual camera, which to me is a big drawback. But if you are the kind of shooter that just wants to go out there and take a few photos and not really, care about your settings too much, it's excellent because you can really do automatic shooting to your heart's desire. So when I was shooting microscope mode diving last night, I made sure to zoom in all the way to 4x zoom, and you really don't need a macro lens on your TG7. You can get really close and personal with any animal and get some amazing macro shots, and that's what this camera is all about. Now, when it comes to wide angle photography, I do recommend wide angle lenses. We've got a large assortment of wide angle wet lenses that you can put on top of your housing that allow you to get a better field of view. This allows you to get closer to your subject, to get more light on your subject so that you can get better colors and better details. So make sure you check out our wet lens options, and I'll leave a link below as well, so check that out. Now, when it comes to underwater video, the TG7 is an excellent camera. It can do 1080 video up to 60 frames per second, which is what I recommend shooting so that you can add some stabilization. But if you do have a tripod like I do here, you can even shoot 4K video up to 30 frames per second and get some nice 4K footage of whatever it is you're shooting, especially macro subject. And I was having a lot of fun shooting macro video on my night dive. Now, when it comes to underwater lighting, the TG7 can be a little bit trickier to light because it is an automatic camera. You really do need to use some sort of TTL mode on the camera. So in this case, I was using TTL with S220 strobes and it was working great. The strobes were kind of deciding based on the flash in the camera what power to put out. Now, if you want something even a little more accurate, you could check out strobes that have RC modes and use the RC mode in the camera. I believe the Ikelite DS51s and the CNC D3 Duos have RC modes built in. But even then, I was having a great time shooting the S220s in TTL as well. But those would probably be a little bit more accurate with the RC modes. Finally, when it comes to underwater housings, we have a large assortment for the TG7. We've got the standard Olympus, or now OM system, TG7 housing. We've got polycarbonate housings from Ikelite as well. Now, when it comes to anodized aluminum housings options, we have housings from Nauticam, Merlux, Isoda, and Kraken has an awesome housing that allows you to actually charge the camera while you're diving. I do get only about 1 to 2 dives when it comes to the battery life. So the battery life is really short. So either buy a bunch of batteries or consider that Kraken housing, which has that charging capability. And that's pretty much my review. The TG7 is an awesome macro camera for people that really just want something simple to use and something automatic. I'd say if you want to go simpler, there's the Sea Life Micro 3.0, which is a great option. We actually have those on sale with a free video light, so that's pretty cool. And if you want to go a little bit more manual, you want more control over your photos, you should really consider the Canon G7X Mark III or the Sony RX100 Mark 7 or Mark 5 if you are a compact shooter. Now, if you are thinking about getting into that realm of interchangeable lenses, then the Canon R100 is kind of in this price range and offers you APS-C level quality. That's professional image quality. And you're still sitting in that price range. So if you're still a little bit confused or you need help figuring out your options on what to upgrade to or what to get started with when it comes to underwater photography, make sure you email us at sales@bluewaterphotostore.com. If you have any comments that you want to leave, make sure you just drop them below. We'll answer those. And with that, I guess we'll see you guys out there diving. Make sure you like and subscribe, please. It helps us with the YouTube algorithm. And that's it. We'll see you underwater.